You've probably heard it said that people overestimate what they can do in a year, but underestimate what they can do in 10 years. That's accurate. However, I'm here to tell you from personal experience and from observed experience of other men that we also tend to underestimate what we can do in 1 year. Let me ask you this. What do you think it would take to have an impossible year? I'm talking about getting more done and more accomplished and getting more transformation and accomplishing bigger goals in 1 year than, let's say, you've done in the past 3 to 5 years. Is that possible? Yes, it is. I know from personal experience, personal hands-on experience, and personal coaching experience. I know that this is possible for fitness, physical health, for your finances, for your relationships, for your social circle, for just your overall quality of life, for experiences, just all the way down the list, 360 degrees, your entire life. However, if you go after big goals, big accomplishments, having that mythical, impossible year, using traditional goal setting and goal accomplishing methods, you probably won't have that impossible year. It's now at the end of 2024 that I'm recording this. We've got about, I think it's December 5th or 6th. So we're almost at 2025. And so right now, what am I going to do with my life in this next coming years? Probably something that's on many people's minds. And so I think over the next few days as I record videos, I'm going to make a series about doing the impossible year, how to make an impossible year happen. And here's what I want to cover in this specific video, because if you want to have an impossible year, which I've done in every single area of my life and all the major buckets, you have to have a completely different approach and strategy to how you're going to do it. Okay? Here's this first thing that you have to shift in terms of your mindset, your framework, and your strategy. You have to approach it with intentional periodization of specific buckets in your life while keeping all the other buckets on maintenance mode, or even just a little bit above maintenance mode. So what I'm talking about here is training like an athlete. Let me explain this as an athlete training metaphor. If you're just beginning to work out, you can just try to lift for max weight and all kinds of reps on all the major lifts and you'll be fine because you're at starting strength. You're at the ground floor. But if you become even an intermediate level lifter or athlete, you're strong enough now and capable enough now that you're pulling or lifting such heavy weight or doing such strenuous things that there's a much bigger recovery demand on your body and your health and your system. So you cannot be maxing out 4, 5, 6, 7 different things for skill development, strength development as an athlete, and then recover fast enough from all the demand for recovery that you're creating and continue progression. What you have to do is for a period, aka periodization, of 4 to 12 weeks, depending on how long the periodization is and what it is that you're trying to develop, you have to optimize towards a specific skill, or you have to optimize for building your strength on a specific lift, let's say deadlift, squat, or bench. And all the other lifts are going to be done at maintenance level or just a little bit pushing it into growth above maintenance level, but you're not trying to do any sort of significant fast growth in all the other lifts or skills, just the one. Because that one is going to create so much demand for recovery that if you try to max out on all the major lifts or skills that you need, you're just going to crash and burn, implode, regress, wipe out, injury, etc. So for example, for 8 weeks, you might focus on just building up a really strong squat. Then for 8 weeks, you might focus on developing a really strong bench while doing maintenance mode on squat. Then for 12 weeks, you might do building up a really strong deadlift, right? While doing maintenance on bench and squat. That's how you start developing at an intermediate level and higher. You got to do the same thing if you want to do an impossible year. So here's an example. Let's say that you want to get into peak fitness for whatever you've ever been. So basically to your personal peak fitness. Let's say you want to get the best shape of your life. Let's say you also want to double, triple your money. Let's say you also want to get a solid relationship, girlfriend, boyfriend, whatever. And then let's say you want to develop your social circle, whatever it might be. What I would do is I would pick one of those and dedicate the first 8 to 12 weeks as a period of optimizing as much as possible for that one thing and getting as fast of a result as possible on that one thing, okay? While doing maintenance mode or just a little bit of growth and learning on all the other goals. Another way to think of this is like this. Take whatever goal you might have had for any bucket that you might have had for 12 months. So let's take the physical fitness goal. And let's say that going into the new year or whenever you're watching this, you say, okay, my 12-month goal is to be at this level of fitness. With the approach that I'm talking about, what you do is you say, okay, that 12-month goal I had, I'm now going to try to accomplish it in 12 weeks. So you shrink your annual goal into a 12-week goal. You condense and shrink a 12-month goal into a 12-week goal. And you absolutely over-index on putting your entire daily and weekly life structure, habits, systems, process around absolutely destroying that goal. Accomplishing in 12 weeks what you were originally going to do on a slightly more slower pace, what you're going to try to do over 12 months. Okay? So let's say that you wanted to be able to have a certain muscular physique in 12 months. You want to optimize now for trying to do it in 12 weeks. What that's going to do is multiple things. Automatically, it's going to force you to create a much more intense fitness, strength, hypertrophy plan, right? Second, if you want the result, you're going to have to become much more strict about your macros, your diet, and your eating. You're going to have to become much more strict about your sleeping, right? Your recovery, your nutrition, your supplementation. What happens is when you give that acute, overwhelming force and power, almost like shock and awe, right, for that one goal, you finally hit it with enough energy and force that you actually start making really big, fast strides really quickly. And so what you're trying to do is, you know how when an airplane is taxiing down the runway and there's a point where it reaches escape velocity, right? What you're trying to do is let's say that the ultimate goal that you had in 1 year is reaching escape velocity of like, oh, I'm happy with how I look and my fitness and health. You're trying to hit escape velocity in 12 weeks now on that one goal. So what happens is that naturally by doing that, you're naturally going to force all of your faculties, your resources, your creativity, your structure, your habits, any spare time you have on optimizing for that. When you hit escape velocity, by the way, you'd be amazed at how fit you can become in 12 weeks if you actually dial it in. When you hit that level of escape velocity on your fitness in 12 weeks, now you can put it on maintenance mode, slightly plus of just growth. And over the next 3 12-week segments of the year, because there's four 12-week segments in a year. Over the next 3 12-week segments, you will, at the end of the year, end up at a level of fitness, strength, physique, and conditioning that, based upon your previous plan, probably would have taken you 2 to 3 years to accomplish at a slower pace. Because it's first just getting to escape velocity, then it's cruising altitude. Then it takes less effort to produce dramatically more results because you've already dropped a bunch of body fat. You've already built up a foundation of starting strength. You've got your supplementation and your hormones and your recovery and your sleep and everything optimized. So now that goes on maintenance mode with slightly plus. I call it maintenance plus. So maintain what you have and then slightly work on improving that overall bucket. Now, for the next 8 to 12 weeks, you pick the next thing. Let's say making money, making more money. Okay, what were your financial goals for the entire week, the entire year, the 12 months? During the 12 weeks that you would have been optimizing for, let's say, fitness, finances would have been on maintenance plus. So you're going to do just enough to research, put a plan together, lay the groundwork, make the contacts you need to make, whatever that plan is, and just chip away at it. And then as soon as you hit escape, you end the 12-week periodization for your fitness, then all that extra energy that you now can take away from the physical fitness periodization, you put into the finances. Now you're going to put every spare moment, waking hour, energy, whatever you want to, however you want to, whatever your resources are, you're going to put into locking in on what are you going to do about your finances? How are you going to create a second stream of income, side hustle? How are you going to launch a product, become a consultant in your industry where you have a career? How are you going to double, triple your sales? Whatever that is, whatever that looks like for you. Because again, you could be an entrepreneur, there's different industries, different job roles, etc. You might be in the gig economy right now, making ends meet with, driving Uber, doing a few other things, and you've got a side hustle, right? Or the main hustle that you want to turn into your main business. But whatever it is, you now over-index for 8 to 12 weeks on that. Get a very clear goal. Whatever your goal was for 12 months, ask yourself, if I had to accomplish it in 12 weeks, what would I do? Absolutely over-index on that now. Get that to escape velocity. So now let's say 6 months later, 2 12-week periodization blocks, you're at peak fitness levels, right? You'll be amazed at how much more fit you become in the next 12 weeks after that first periodization if you just do maintenance plus. Your money now has grown by 30 to 300%, which is possible in 12 weeks depending on what you do and how you do it. So now you have more financial abundance, okay? Now for the next 8 weeks, 4 weeks, you tackle going after your social plan. Building a better social life, looking for better circles of friends, becoming valuable to different kinds of people, right? You go out to intentionally build new friendships, plug into new circles, whatever that might look like, right? You study social game. You read about group psychology, how to win friends and influence people, as a book is called, whatever that might look like for you, okay? Right? Do that for 8 weeks. Now that your physique and fitness is on maintenance plus, finances has had a significant spike of growth. Now it's maintenance plus. Cool. Now, social game. Let's say 8 weeks. Boom. Got escape velocity on that. Got 2, 3 new circles of friends. Maybe you've plugged into some. Maybe you've created your own. Hosting a poker game, hosting some sort of an entrepreneurial circle, whatever that might look like, joining different kinds of clubs, etc. Okay, you got that on point. Next 4 weeks, spirituality. Just your overall mental, emotional, energetic health. Really optimize for that. Over-index on that. Read a few good books. Journal, meditate, whatever that will look like for you. Okay, now for the next 12 weeks, go after a fun hobby or look for a relationship, whatever those goals are. But do you see how we've periodized? What happens is that if you try to go after all the buckets at all times, all year long, it's like going an inch in a bunch of different directions. You never make significant progress. You never hit escape velocity to get the damn airplane off the runway. to get momentum on your side. Another way of thinking of getting the airplane, of reaching escape velocity and getting the airplane off the ground is you go from having to push the boulder up the hill to you almost feel like there's momentum now and it's easier. Okay? And so if you spend an entire year going an inch in every direction on your goals, never making any real progress, never seeing any real progress, you're burning out on all fronts, right? You're not seeing any real progress. You're not hitting escape velocity and getting momentum. You're never punching through. And there is a minimum effective dose, MED. That's a terminology used a lot in physical training. There is a minimum effective dose for a stimulus to your muscle to get it to grow. And if you don't hit that minimum effective dose, your muscle won't grow. The same thing is true for any goals you have in any bucket of your life. There's a minimum effective dose you have to get it to in order for it to really start have momentum and take off. So look at all your goals. Ask yourself, which of these goals is the most important to me? Or which one, if I were to reach escape velocity with it, would have the highest impact on all the other goals and my overall quality of life? Make that one first. Put everything else in maintenance plus. Take the primary goal, over index. And what you thought you were going to do in 12 months, accomplish it in 12 weeks. And approach it with the kind of tenacity as if there's a gun to your head and you're going to be dead if you don't get it done. That kind of tenacity, that kind of energy, that kind of congruence, that kind of alignment. And in 1 year, you will have an impossible year. And another thing I'll share with you is as you do intentional, intense periodization of specific goals, the net effect on your overall and your whole life as you start stacking periodization blocks is going to be unbelievable until you just experience it and you see for yourself how just things start happening in your life. Doors start opening, opportunities start coming to you, serendipitous things happen, people are more attracted to you, right? Men want to be you, women want to be with you, right? When you walk by, babies stop crying, dogs start smiling. Like I'm telling you, it's just how it happens because you're elevating your life, you're in a constant progression, and you're living in expression. I think one of the roots behind depression in men is a lack of expression. You're not expressing what it is that you want to live through the accomplishment and creation of those experiences, goals, etc. And that's, I think, where a lot of depression and anxiety comes from for men. I think we're a lot like German Shepherds. And a German Shepherd, if it doesn't have purpose and if it doesn't have something to do, it gets a lot of anxiety and they start to dig holes. They just start to act out, dig holes. What does that look like as a metaphor? All kinds of addiction, alcohol, substances, pornography, right? Just always looking for something to do that's like an escape or feels good or something. For me, the things that I've gone through in my life, being a German Shepherd, metaphorically digging holes, pornography addiction. I was an alcoholic at one point in my life. I wasn't diagnosed that, but when you're drinking 5 to 10 drinks a day, you are clinically an extreme alcoholic. So I have to admit at one point in my life, I was an alcoholic. Gambling. At one point in my life, I did a lot of gambling constantly, right? I was a German Shepherd digging holes. Why? When I look back, I can tell you exactly why. I had a lot of anxiety. I had a depressed state. And the reason I was in a depression is because I lacked my expression. I wasn't expressing my life and wasn't accomplishing my greatness and achieving, building the greatest version of myself because I wasn't going after anything. And I wasn't making the progress I wanted to. And so I was that guy, right? Who knew all the right stuff, read all the books, but didn't have the results. I sounded really smart, but I was wearing a lot of different masks. You want to break free of those masks. And if you want to break free of being stagnant and stagnation and start getting into your elevation, I believe that the path forward is identify your 3 to 6, 7 biggest goals that you have for your life. Pick the one that is most important to you right now. Ask yourself what you were going to do with it in 12 months, hypothetically. Shrink it to 12 weeks, over index, and absolutely crush it and hit escape velocity with it while doing maintenance plus on everything else. Then pick the next bucket, so on and so forth. And in 1 year, impossible year, watch what happens.